Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another market breakdown. It is Wednesday, November 19th. Um, and let's see what the markets have done. So starting with NZD USD, this is one which I made the foolish decision to close my own trade, close the signal. And when I say, had I waited for 5 more minutes, we would have still been in this trade. Um, so my exit was right here. So it was exactly where the dash line is, 0.56750. If you notice, price doesn't go much higher. It only reaches 0.56751. So zero point 0.01 pips away, like it was 1 point. And then that was it. That was like from the point that I closed, price just went down and has not come back up. So this trade sucked. Well, my man, let me rephrase that. This trade is amazing. This is the same trade that I would have taken over and over again. For some reason, my mental just wasn't there to hold this for some reason, and I closed at the worst possible point. Like I should have waited for the 4 hours to close, as I had like literally stated during the call yesterday. If you go back, I said I'm gonna probably wait for the 4 hours to close, and then I'm gonna make a decision whether or not to hold or close the trade. And then within like 10 minutes after that, there was about 15 minutes to market close. About 10 minutes later, I decided to close out. Price pulled back, and then we have continued to the downside. Now, as of right now, we have officially reached our take profit, which would have been at the daily structure. We have weekly structure right here, which we have also reached. 4 hour structure. This was the final take profit right here. This 4 hour structure zone, which we are currently heading towards. But yeah, super unfortunate there. Um, I did decide to enter GBP USD. So GBP USD was one that I entered shortly after I realized that price on NZD USD was actually going to have the bearish continuation. So if we go through, we can look at what the daily time frame is doing. We're having a reaction to the downside. 4 hour time frame was basically creating lower lows, even though we're still bullish as of right now. And then 2 hour structure, same thing. Here we broke underneath the 1 hour EMA, and at a certain point, it was at this point, after this huge bearish engulfing candle, I decided to send an entry. Now, here's the issue. You can see how my stop loss is currently placed. It's placed that way because as I was typing in my signal, like the price was up here, and I had, let's clone that. So I had my stop loss set like this, right above this high. And as I was typing it in, price dumped. So I had to basically shift it down. Didn't have enough time to change up my stop loss. Didn't want to make it bigger really, because I didn't expect price to really push that high. We basically had another pullback and then pushed lower. Then we had a very aggressive pullback. So so right here, basically after price had broken through this area of interest, and then we pulled back into the area of interest, I sent a second entry. So we're actually in this trade with two positions, trying to make up for NZD USD. So we got in right here, and I didn't realize, but we had red folder news a few hours after this entry. So we basically, as soon as I got in, like we pulled back, we rejected the EMA, sold, and then we had this super drawn out like pullback. And if the news had been against us, we would have gotten absolutely destroyed. We were already almost to stop loss. Now, I wasn't too worried about this position. I was more so worried about this lower position because during news, spreads can get very large and can actually take you out without price reaching your stop loss. So, um, We held through that. That was a little bit stressful, but overall, I'm happy with both entries. They're both relatively in the same place. This second entry has a tighter stop loss. I reduced it by 8 pips, basically set it above this high. And yeah, we created somewhat of a double top, and now price is selling. Now price is selling 4 hour time frame. Should create a lower low on the 4 hour time frame. And then from there, we should just see the continuation to the downside. So if price reaches daily market structure, which is my main profit target, we will make 4% on one trade and 5.3% on the next. So basically 9% total this week, which would put us back in the green for the month. And yeah, this month has been super rocky for me. Just being completely honest with you guys, like the good trades that I take have been like this. Like I exited this one for some reason. Um, this wasn't this month, this was last month. But I think it was one of these pairs where we took a loss here, then we took a few losses somewhere else. Mostly wick outs and price goes in our direction. So I think that's the most frustrating part. It was my stop loss placement on some of those trades. Anyways, let's go ahead and go over some of these other pairs. Yeah. So I don't really pay attention to yellow news folders. They don't really affect the market that much. It's obviously important data, but it's not so important that it will move the entire market aggressively. Like it might accelerate a move, but it's not going to cause like a huge gap in the market um where you're left wondering what happened. So I just, even on my Forex calendar, I just remove that option from, I filter it out. I only do yellow or orange and red. All right, so Bitcoin. Bitcoin seems to be still going down. I mean, realistically, we do have a daily doji, but that could only signify, maybe the beginning of a shorter pullback, a daily pullback to have a continuation to the downside. We go over this one every day. It doesn't change much. We're still having that pullback. We're still underneath the weekly EMA, daily, 4 hour. So we'll continue to sell on that one. SPX, sold a little bit more aggressively than I had expected. We basically opened, so we were underneath the daily EMA, as I had mentioned. We opened and we went directly down. There was no retest of this area of interest. Now, we still might have a retest of the area of interest of the EMA to fill in some of this empty space, perhaps. But as of right now, I don't see market going upwards, especially since we're underneath the 4 hour EMA. Like if we do push up, we'll probably push up to retest the 4 hour EMA and then continue to sell. But that's my outlook on SPX. NASDAQ's going to be very similar. In fact, I think it's setting up right now, retesting this lower time frame area of interest. I marked this one up because the actually we can adjust this daily area of interest now. There it is. Okay, so this is the adjusted daily area of interest. It could be a little bit tighter, like you could do this, but this has already been used. You can see how price already broke through, the retested this one and sold. So now the next best option is going to be expanding this a little bit and including this structure point. In fact, what you could do is you could move it down completely and just use these two structure points and maybe count this as one as well, which it really isn't. But you guys get the general idea. If price pulls back into up to here, we could probably see a continuation to the downside. Underneath the EMA, underneath the previous structures, daily time frame is bearish, 4 hour time frame is bearish. Everything is setting up to sell. At least short term. We don't know if it's going to be a long-term sell because the weekly time frame is still bullish. US 30 is bearish on the daily time frame. Once again, 4-hour time frame bearish underneath both EMAs, pull back to sell. Gold. Gold is one that I traded on a Top Step account that is fresh. So the weekly time frame basically has this nice rejection candle on last week. So we have a doji, we have a push. Now we have this pullback, and we're hoping for a continuation, right? On the daily time frame, we have this rejection. On the 4-hour time frame, we have this engulfing. We push above the area of interest, retest, gives us a doji, and then price starts to push upwards. 2-hour time frame, same thing, similar rejection candle. 1-hour time frame has basically created a higher high, pullback, and then we're starting to create the next higher high. And then we have basically a push above the EMA, retest of the EMA, and I entered a few times. It was an extremely, extremely aggressive entry, super, super tight stop loss. But I ended up closing with a 1 to 25. So, I mean, that was absolutely crazy. I closed right up here. I saw the 2-hour doji, and I was like, you know what? I've seen enough. I've had enough. I'm not going to get greedy. My initial profit target was this wick in this area right here, where price had reacted from in the past. And I do believe that we'll make it up there. I just didn't want to personally sit through all of that. I didn't sleep last night. I slept in the morning after I took this trade. And let me tell you, I woke up about every like 30 minutes because I was literally dreaming of this trade. It wasn't healthy. So I decided to just get out of it and forget about it. Next is for gold. At this point, we're above the 2-hour EMA. We're above the 4-hour EMA. We have an inverted head and shoulders. At this point, I can see price pulling back to retest to have that continuation. Yeah. DXY. DXY. We have bullish daily market structure, bearish weekly market structure, and bullish 4-hour market structure. At this point, we're just creating higher highs. If we could get a shift the structure on the 4-hour time frame, that would be nice. I mean, we're still basically waiting for the same exact thing. Now on the daily, it's a little bit different. Like we do have bullish market structure now. Like we have gone bullish on the 4-hour time frame. We did create a higher high, push, pullback. I suppose it could continue going higher. Now we are still in this very, very strong area of resistance. So I'm not sure. It literally could go both ways. The best way to tell what's going to happen is if we break out of this area of interest, then pull back to buy. I think that would be the best option for this pair or for this trade. Next is getting into the actual Forex pairs. NZD USD daily time frame has basically reached the profit target on the daily time frame. Now at this point, what happens is when we reach a low, like we're creating lower lows, every time we reach a low, we continue to sell. Like we're just going to continue to sell for a few more days until price basically creates the next leg to the downside. Just like right here, hits profit target and then continues for another day or two, hits profit target, continues for another day, hits profit target, continues for another day. So if we close down here, then we could probably see one more day of selling and then a reversal potentially, or just a slow continuation, slow turnaround, or whatever that might be. So yeah, here I just basically see continuation, pullback, sell. Like this is on a daily time frame. So not interested in this one at the moment. It's too low. We're far away from the area of interest. I completely messed up the entry by exiting. Like we were in profit for like we were in profit for like 90% of this trade and still somehow closed in drawdown, you know? That's completely my fault. I wasn't there mentally, I guess. All right, next is GBP USD, the trade I'm currently in. We have this area of interest, price pulled back into the area of interest. Is reacting from the area of interest. Now, the only thing I'm slightly concerned about is the fact that we might create a head and shoulders pattern. Now, I don't think that that's going to happen. I don't really see that happening at the moment. We could just be creating a double top right here and then continuing to sell from there. 4-hour time frame. Bullish, bullish, bullish. Unfortunate that we were unable to close. Well, we still don't know, but we're rejecting this area right here pretty hard. So an option for what might happen is another pullback into this area of interest here to sell. I think that's a pretty solid area for price to react from, like we have already in the past. We're underneath the 4-hour EMA. We're underneath the daily EMA, 2-hour EMA, 1-hour EMA, 30 EMA. Like we're below everything that we need to be below. So at this point, if price does hit our stop loss, it's going to have to break through a lot of market structure to get to that point. And I don't think that that's going to happen. And I'm just going to hold, at this point, there's no point in closing. And I know I said that about yesterday's trade, but not going to make the same mistake twice in 1 week. So yeah, this one we're just kind of holding. I would like to see it close bearish if possible. If we could get a bearish engulfing here, that would be spectacular. But yeah. And even if we don't, even if we close like a doji like this, we might just create a wick upwards, react from the zone, and then close with a bearish candle to the downside. So that's what I would like to see in general. Next is AUD USD. Weekly time frame is bearish. Daily time frame is bearish. We're still aiming, this is still technically our final take profit zone, which we did reach, but we haven't closed below. So the whole idea is, yes, this is where you would set your take profit. So if you're selling from here, you hit your take profit. If you're selling from here, you hit your take profit. If you're selling from here, you already hit your take profit, but we still need to close below this area. That's the whole idea, is closing below this area and creating a lower low for the next pullback, for the next whatever. And this is why it's important to understand that there's a chance that price doesn't create the next lower low and we have a complete turnaround, or not even a turnaround, but a very aggressive pullback. And that's why sometimes it's better to close than to hold past this area unless price closes bearish. Let's say price closes today down here. At that point, if price closes with a bearish candle like this, then all you're waiting for is the next candle to open, create a wick, and then continue to sell to the downside. Because at that point, you're actually creating bearish structure to the downside. This is your lower high. This is your lower low. So it'd be this here, lower low, pull back, lower low. So that's kind of the idea there. As of right now, we're still inside this area of interest, still struggling to break out of it. I don't know what's going to happen. Like, this was still a great entry. I hope some of you guys were able to catch it. You have your head and shoulders, retest of the neckline, retest of the EMA to sell. At this point, we could see price pushing back up, creating, a double top on the 4-hour time frame, maybe a daily pullback into the EMA. Either one of those things could happen before we continue to sell. But in a perfect world, we would wait for the lower low. We'd have the pullback into the neckline of whatever structure this is, and then we would sell underneath the weekly EMA. That's going to be the main idea is if we're able to close bearish, like on the weekly time frame with the bearish engulfing, we'll close underneath the neckline, we'll close underneath the EMA, and then at that point, we'll wait for the pullback to sell. And it's really that simple because both the daily and the weekly will be doing what we want them to do. USD CAD weekly time frame is bullish. Daily time frame pulled back rather aggressively into this EMA. We're above the EMA. We're bullish. 4-hour time frame. 4-hour time frame is bearish. We're underneath the EMA. We could technically retest and sell, so we have to be aware of that. So in order to avoid that, we basically wait for either a lower low here, then a shift of structure, retest buy, or we have to wait for price to completely go bullish above this market structure, then retest the EMA to buy. So those are the two options. Either one of them works really well. In order to trade with the two higher time frames, we have to wait for the 4-hour time frame to actually stop selling. Euro CAD, also for AUD USD, I'm not interested in this one. I'm just gonna take it off the list. This one, we have a lot of work to do. We have break, retest, buy, like that, or obviously the buy, retest, buy, retest, buy. I'm interested, but it could take a few days. It might not even be ready this week because realistically, it would even be nice to see like a doji here. We don't really have, I guess that could count as a doji, but not really. I was thinking more of a rejection candle like this. Doji, whatever that is. But yeah, we'll see what happens there. Still a lot of work to be done on that one. Here, the daily time frame went bearish on Euro CAD. Daily time frame is bearish. Weekly time frame is bearish. So you have two time frames in sync to sell. We're still above the daily EMA, but we're below the 4-hour EMA at this point. So realistically, you could pull back 4-hour EMA, previous structure to sell. Daily time frame has an area of interest right here. That price could retest in order to see that bearish continuation. So you have that right there. You have 1, 2, 3 structure points, 4-hour EMA, all in the same area. Pull back to sell. Not bad, but I'm not too interested in it right now. GBP CAD is going to be kind of similar, I believe. Weekly time frame is bearish. Daily time frame is still bullish. Somehow it's still bullish. We had the higher high, we had a pullback. So the 4-hour time frame did go bearish. So now we have 4-hour and the weekly are bearish. Daily time frame is still bullish. But like I said, we are still underneath the EMA. At this point, in order to take buys, I want to see, once again, a lower low, shift the structure to buy, or a break above this structure point, retest of the area right here, or EMA to continue to buy. GBP CAD is one that I would consider keeping on my list simply because I do like the way we're still within the parameters of this trend line or channel. And as long as we maintain within this channel, there's always the possibility of continuation, or, this could just be a little fake out and then we're back inside. So we'll see. We will see what happens with this one. As of right now, it's setting up for sells. but there is a possibility to take some buys after and only after the 4-hour goes bullish. NZD CAD, this one's going to leave the list. It did exactly what we needed it to. We had a daily rejection candle. 4-hour time frame has created bullish market structure. We shifted. So price was going up, slowed down, turned around, accelerated in the opposite direction. We have a head and shoulders pattern. We have a double top. We basically have a bunch of stuff that we need. This is 2-hour time frame. And the biggest thing is that we pulled back, pulled back, pulled back, shifted back below the EMA. If we were unsure, shifted even lower, retested, and then sold. So this one was great to capitalize off of if you were able to catch it. As of right now, there's nothing more to do. We missed out, or I missed out personally, so I'm not interested in that one. Now, if you notice something, these CAD pairs have already been selling. Like, it's not the same as GBP CAD and USD CAD, but they are still CAD pairs. And if you notice, most of the CAD pairs have been selling quite aggressively and will probably continue to sell realistically. So don't be too eager to hop in on USD CAD buys or GBP CAD buys, simply because we don't want to get caught on the wrong side of price action. Next is GBP AUD. GBP AUD weekly time frame is still bullish. Daily time frame is bullish. Now we are retesting the daily EMA, and 4-hour time frame is currently bearish. So we have two time frames that are bullish and one time frame that is bearish. I'm not a huge fan of the way that price is moving right now, but like, okay, so we have, the reason I'm not a huge fan of it is because this trade is going to only have one time frame to sell, right? The weekly and daily are bullish. We're looking for sells because the daily time frame is retesting these previous structures, creating a double top, and retesting this EMA. So you have to understand that you're going to be selling with only one time frame in sync, which is the 4 hours. So if that's the case, then you want to wait, at the very minimum, wait for price to break underneath the EMA and create bearish market structure. If this is a double top on the 4 hour, then you wait for the break of the neckline, retest of the neckline to sell. Similar to the way we did right here, almost identical. Create a double top, retest the neckline underneath the EMA to sell. Perfect. Now, if you're going to take buys, then you're going to want to wait for price to create, if you're going to look for buys, then at that point, you're going to want to see price break above the daily EMA. So if we break above the daily EMA, retest the daily EMA, retest this area of interest to buy. That would be the best option for GBP AUD. For buys, and then for sells, we just went over it. At the moment, I'm probably not going to be interested. And honestly, at this point in the week, what is it? Wednesday? Yeah, Wednesday. I'm already in this trade right here. I'm probably done trading for the week, personally, but I'm just going to give you guys the full rundown of the markets either way, so that you guys can make your own decisions and capitalize off of any of these moves for the remainder of the week. So we already went over GBP AUD, either buys or sells. Sells are a little riskier considering we don't have two timeframes in sync. Buys are less risky, but you still have that EMA impeding price action. Next is NZD CAD. We just went over it. At this point on NZD CAD, you're waiting for the lower low, the pullback into previous structure to continue to sell. That could take a while. Not interested. Yeah. EuroCAD, same thing, basically waiting for a daily pullback. I don't love price action, but the CAD pairs have been selling. So realistically, this is an indication of a move that is ready to or waiting to happen, similar to like right here. You have this indication, price sold very aggressively. You had your pullback into the EMA, and then we sold. Like, luckily, I closed this trade right here. Otherwise, we would have gotten taken out at break even or had our stop loss hit. So yeah, I think that's one situation that we're in right now. Once again, well, I guess this one is different. Weekly time frame is bearish, daily time frame is bearish, and 4-hour time frame is currently bearish. So you have 3 time frames in sync. Not terrible if you can stack up other confluences. That is an option. Like, if I was trading sells, I would be looking for sells on EuroCAD. AUD USD, we already went over it. Ideally, we're waiting for the daily break retest to sell. And if not, then it's going to be a daily pullback to sell. Like, it's one of those two things. AUD CAD, weekly time frame is bullish. Daily time frame is bearish. It was from here to here. Now it's from here down to here. At this point, we're waiting for a retest of the daily EMA, a retest of the 4-hour EMA in order to sell. Another CAD pair waiting to sell. At the moment, I'm not too interested, but it is an opportunity waiting to happen. After that, we have Euro GBP. Euro GBP still hasn't created or still hasn't pulled back into our area of interest. And luckily, we didn't decide to enter because price has been super, super choppy in the area we're in right now. Still waiting on that daily pullback. Weekly time frame is bullish. Daily time frame is bullish. We've had a daily pullback and we might see a daily continuation. Now, we don't have an area of interest. That's why I wasn't really interested in taking that trade. 4-hour time frame is currently bearish, but with this candle, we're going to close bullish. Excuse me. Moving on. So for this one, still waiting on that daily pullback into the area of interest, into the EMA to buy. Now, let's see. 1, 2. I guess this could be considered a small area of interest, maybe even a little bit tighter like this, where you have 1, 2, 3 structure points. It's just so new that I'm not comfortable with taking that, you know? I would want a full break and then a full retest to then buy. So we'll come back to that one at some point. Euro USD, weekly time frame is bullish, daily time frame is bearish, and 4-hour time frame is currently super sloppy. It's bearish. Like, we have 2 time frames in sync to sell. We're underneath the EMA. All is good, it seems, right? On paper, everything looks fine. We're far away from the weekly EMA. There's tons of room to sell. We're retested the daily EMA. There's tons of room to sell. It's not terrible. The only thing is we're still inside of this daily area of interest. I guess you could readjust it and call it like this right here. At that point, yeah, at that point you have a little bit more freedom in terms of where price is. But that's a slippery slope. You know, at that point, you can make your area of interest anywhere. So I wouldn't be looking for buys anymore. I think I would stick to sells. At this point, you have a shoulder, head, and you can call this whole area shoulder. So there might be a break and then a retest of this area right here. You can call it a lower time frame area of interest. This whole area like so. So it'd basically be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 structure points, 7 right there, couple wicks. Ideally, price would sell underneath, retest this entire EMA, all of this good stuff right here, and then continue to sell. So you could take your entry here, stop loss here, and then you have a good risk to reward down to right here, right? But as of right now, this is not terrible. If you enter here, stop loss right here, you basically get the same exact trade. But once again, we're just kind of stuck between the area of interest and the EMA. So that's what we're waiting on there. But still a great trade, great setup. If price for some reason decides to come back up to here, like retesting the EMA, we could sell to the downside, creating a double top right here. Or you have your inverted head and shoulders, retest buy. So there's like price is super flexible. You can do whatever you want it to do, or rather you can trade it however it moves as long as you know what to look for. For right now, sells are the best option. Euro AUD. Euro AUD weekly time frame is bullish, daily time frame is bearish, and 4-hour time frame has created a higher high, pull back into the EMA to push up. Daily time frame still bearish. I want to see the daily time frame shift bullish and then have a pullback. So right now I'm not interested, but yeah, that would be the general idea there. GBP JPY weekly time frame bullish, daily time frame is still like it's made it there. Like it's finally reached a take profit as expected. That would have been your take profit. At this point, we're just going to wait for the higher high. Higher high could end up here, pull back, previous structure, area of interest to buy. Yeah, at this point, price is kind of gone. It was gone. We were never interested because I don't want to trade a super choppy market like this. I want to trade the entire move. And we were being restricted by our take profit right there. So moving on, we're not interested in this. We're just waiting for the higher high, then the pullback, then the buy. Same thing with other JPY pairs. We're at the higher high, waiting for the daily pullback to buy. At this point, the area of interest we would be interested in buying from would be this one. You have 1, 2, 3 structure points. Basically, in fact, it seems like we might have already had somewhat of a retest of the area of interest right here. So you have your rejection, you have your pullback, and then you have your continuation. So that one might be a little bit far gone. But in general, waiting for a pullback to buy, similar to the way we did, in these areas. CHF JPY is slowing down. It's having a bit of a slowdown here. 4-hour time frame has shifted bearish. We've created a double top. We have we are retesting the neckline. We might close with the weekly doji. And if we close with the weekly doji, then we'll probably see a weekly pullback start to happen. As of right now, I'm not interested. We're kind of at the highest part in the market, and I don't want to take any counter trend trades. Weekly's bullish, daily's bullish, and 4-hour is bearish. So that would be very counter trend. Euro JPY at a higher high. We're not interested, waiting for a daily pullback into previous structure, into area of interest. CAD JPY, same exact thing. Not interested at the moment. AUD JPY, once again, not interested. Price is currently just at the higher high. NZD JPY, same thing. CHF, AUD CHF had sold. We reached our take profit, right? We reached our take profit. This is a trade that I got taken out on. It hit our stop loss and then completely reached our take profit within the next 2 days. Very frustrating once again. Yeah, my take profit would have been right there, and we would have gotten basically taken out of the trade at a 1 to 3.8. Not happening though. At this point, We've reached the take profit. We're having a daily pullback. This daily pullback could be retesting the EMA, the previous structure, to continue to sell. The idea is that price is going to eventually sweep this low, close below this low to create, a lower low. That's basically what it's trying to do. Weekly time frame is bearish, daily time frame is bearish, and 4-hour time frame is currently bullish. You guys are probably like, well, if we do reach the area of interest, then price is going to go, above the EMA, which is true. Right now, price is bullish. We have a double bottom, retesting the neckline to buy. Now we're above the EMA, we're bullish. What does price need to do? Well, it needs to break below the EMA. So there's two ways to do that. You either create a double top right here, break below, retest, sell. You'll notice that that is both a double top and a head and shoulders. All options for us to take sells with the trend. So we'll just have to keep waiting and watching to see what price decides to do. As of right now, I'm not interested, but I will keep an eye on it. I do think that there is potential, not today, but maybe tomorrow or the day after. So this one will go on my list. Wow, Euro CHF, what a turnaround. Weekly time frame, bearish, daily time frame, bearish, 4-hour time frame is bullish. Now, if you guys notice, or if you guys remember, yesterday we talked about potentially entering this counter trend trade, where we had everything you needed. You have your area of interest right here. Price was bearish. We created an inverted head and shoulders, break above, retest, buy. Stop loss would go underneath the EMA, underneath the market structure. And your entry, I think I marked it down, entry here, stop loss here, and you get your 1 to 2 very, very easily. That's exactly what happened. I try not to trade counter trend trades. So for me, I wasn't interested, but I do know some of you guys took it. All right. So at this point, we're waiting for price to slow down, right? When we enter an area very aggressively, price needs to slow down and then we can turn around. So at this point, we're just waiting for the slowdown to happen, maybe a doji, maybe 2 dojis, and then a continuation to the downside would be fantastic to see. As of right now, I'm not interested, but I will throw it on our list temporarily to see. Well, actually, let's see. Okay. Never mind. Both of these are coming down for a moment. So all of the CHF pairs are kind of in the same area. So we've had a daily pullback. We've had a daily pullback. We've had the daily pullback. Same thing, right? So all of these are basically ready to sell. So let's go ahead and pick the best one or the cleanest looking one to do that with. So here, market structure looks okay. We're reacting from the daily EMA. If we get a doji, right? If we get a doji, we create bearish market structure. I hate that we're above. We're pretty far above the EMA on some of these. Like here, we're far above the EMA. Here, we're at the EMA. But I do believe that price should push higher. Here, we're just above the EMA. GBP CHF, I think, is one of the cleaner pairs. So we have weekly time frame is bearish. We pulled back into previous structure, previous daily structure area of interest. And from here, I could see price actually selling. So we'll throw that one up there. 4-hour time frame is just above the EMA. So price does do that sometimes where we just break above slightly, retest buy, and then we're next thing you know, we're back into selling. So at this point, 4-hour time frame is currently bullish. And all it would take is the 4-hour time frame shift bearish, pull back, and sell. So that's what I will be looking for here. Basically a 4-hour break, retest, sell, or what I would be looking for if I was trading this. I guess AUD CHF isn't terrible either. CAD CHF, USD CHF, NZD CHF. I think NZD CHF is the next best option. You have your daily pullback into previous structure, not much of an area of interest, but it is the previous structure. And NZD CHF loves previous structures. Here, look at this previous structure, we sold. Here it didn't reach it, but here we did. Previous structure, we sold. Even here a little bit, we had the same thing happen. So it is previous structure, sold. So yeah, price does trend downwards pretty consistently after those previous structures. And that's simply what we will be waiting for. In order to take this trade, retest the EMA. I think it would be wise to wait for a break and retest of the lower time frames. For example, the 30-minute, a proper break underneath. You have your shoulder, head, shoulder, break, retest, sell. Unfortunately, you're kind of limited to where you're selling to. I think that's the biggest problem on NZD CHF. Now that I look at it, we're at the lower low. Like you could hold, but you don't know how long you're going to hold for. I think in that respect, I think that CAD CHF would be the next best option. And that is because CAD CHF pulled back into the EMA. Yes, we're pretty far away from everything else in terms of the lower time frames, but it would be pretty easy for price to shift, pull back, and sell. I think that would be a pretty reasonable thing to ask for price to do. All right, moving on from the CHF pairs, GBP, NZD, daily time frame is bearish. Oops, daily time frame is bearish. 4-hour time frame retested the area, and now we're waiting for the push up. But price is super choppy. So weekly's bullish, daily's bearish, 4 hours bullish. I'm not interested. It just doesn't look as nice as I would like it to. Plus, you're already far away from the area of interest. You're halfway back. You're halfway to the original take profit. And then Euro NZD, same thing. We're kind of at the higher high. Not much to trade here. And AUD NZD seems like price has shifted. Seems like price has shifted above the EMA, retested it's a buy. So at this point, your weekly time frame is bullish, daily time frame is bullish, and 4-hour time frame is also bullish. You have 3 time frames in sync. Ideally, you would enter something like this. Proper break, proper retest, proper buy. So you're just waiting for price to push up, pull back properly, and then have a continuation. I'm not really interested in that. So we're just going to stay away. That leaves us with this list here. Let's go ahead and sort through this. Here we're waiting for a 4-hour break and retest of EMA. Next is CAD CHF. Same thing. Basically, this one would be more so of a, I think, lower time frame break and retest. Maybe 30-minute break and retest. It is a little bit riskier. If you want to wait for a 4-hour break and retest, that would be best. So of EMA. So we'll do 4-hour break and retest of the EMA for this one as well. EuroCAD is for GBP-CHF. It is close to all-time lows, I guess, yeah. But you also have this, like, that's what I'm kind of looking at is this wick right here. Like that gives you, that extends your take profit. So you could still get a 1 to 2, 1 to 3 out of this trade if you just aim for this lowest 4-hour structure, you know? So say you were to enter after you broke underneath retested, stop loss, call it, you know, it would be unreasonable to have a 50 pip stop loss. So I would call it like a 40 pip stop loss. You're still getting a 1 to 2 out of this trade, realistically. So I think it's okay. I think this one's okay to take, just because the risk to reward is still there. So 4-hour break and retest, 4-hour break and retest. For this one, we pulled back. We broke underneath the daily EMA, pulled back. At this point, like, I don't know. There's quite a bit of room for selling. What does price not do? Underneath the EMA. So price does this quite often. Like we get to this low point right here, and then all of a sudden we have this huge reversal in price. And I'm trying to avoid being a part of that reversal. And how do we avoid something like that? Reaction from the EMA, reaction from the EMA, and then turn around, and then turn around. I don't know, guys. This one, I'm probably just going to stay away from it realistically. I'm just going to take it off the list. It just doesn't look that great to me. Your USD CAD, we're looking for buys. And in order to take buys, I think we talked about price shifting above the 4-hour, right? 4-hour time frame. So 4-hour break and retest to buy. Yeah, I think the 4-hour, like breaking above the 4-hour EMA, pull back to buy or a lower low, and then a shift of structure. So we just need the 4-hour to go bullish. Could take a while. All right. And then GBP CAD, similar thing. We need the 4-hour to go bullish, so we're waiting for 4-hour break and retest to buy. So all of these are the same, basically. Now, in terms of which one might be ready first, so it depends on how the daily candles close. I think the CHF pairs will be ready first. These ones look like they're going to have a daily rejection. So you have your daily doji at the EMA. And then after that happens, so we close like this. Tomorrow, price opens, pulls back, pushes down, pulls back. So that would close, let's call it like this. We'll pull back, we sell. So that would be tomorrow's candle. And then the day after tomorrow, we have the pullback, and then we have the continuation to the downside. So I could see that being an option for what price does. Say we have a doji like this, and then tomorrow we open and then we press down. So 2 days. I think we close with a doji. Tomorrow we sell, and then we can get the entry. Let's see, tomorrow's Thursday, Friday. So basically on Friday. For this one, it might be sooner. Could be as soon as tomorrow. For both of these, it could be either tomorrow or Friday, but it's not going to be today. But yeah, that's basically it, ladies and gentlemen. CHF pairs will be on top. Everything is waiting for a 4-hour break and retest. Every single pair here, same thing. Now it doesn't necessarily have to go underneath the EMA. The EMA is additional confluence and it does help a lot, but at least the 4-hour needs to shift bearish at the very minimum. And then here we're waiting for the 4-hour to go bullish, waiting for the 4-hour to go bullish. All right. You guys are amazing. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.